GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 38, or A New Beginning. How we doing this week? We hope you had a nice holiday. You know, it's hard to wrap my head around that we are in the year 2525. Wait, that's a song, I'm sorry. We're in the year 2025. Let's stay on the positive side of the upcoming year. A new year could be good. It's a time to make changes and forge ahead with our battle against Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. On the research side, there are a lot of things going on, good things. And on the treatment side, there is a lot going on, good things. So in the next few episodes, we're going to be exploring the positives of both sides. Today, we are going to talk about a new beginning and how following information, suggestions, and listening to other caregivers' experiences and circumstances can help guide another caregiver in the right direction and finding positives in the pain of an insidious disease. But here are our gut punch Alzheimer's and caregiver rules or suggestions. Number one, you have to take care of yourself because if something happens to you, who's going to take care of your loved one? Makes sense, doesn't it? And you can't do it alone. You're going to need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. And number three, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need. And then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists. Start at the top and keep going until you get what you need done. You're going to find it very, very helpful. So let's begin. We're going to start with two questions. What is Alzheimer's disease and what is a caregiver? And to take a little different approach to this, we asked ChatGPT. And here's what AI told us. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurological disorder that primarily affects memory, thinking, and behavior. It is the most common cause of dementia, a general term for a decline in cognitive ability severe enough to interfere with daily life. Now, key features of Alzheimer's disease are memory loss. One of the earliest and most prominent symptoms is difficulty remembering recent events or information, such as forgetting conversations, appointments, or where one placed everyday items. Cognitive decline. Alzheimer's leads to difficulty with problem solving, decision making, and understanding complex tasks. As the disease progresses, it may become harder to carry out tasks that once seemed routine, like managing finances or driving. Disorientation and confusion. Individuals may become easily disoriented in familiar places, having trouble recognizing faces or places, and may even get lost in familiar surroundings. Language problems. People with Alzheimer's may have trouble finding the right words, repeating themselves, or understanding conversations. Behavioral and mood changes. Anxiety, depression, irritability, and social withdrawal are common as the disease progresses. In some cases, individuals may also experience paranoia or hallucinations. Now, some of the causes and risk factors. The exact cause of Alzheimer's is not fully understood, but several factors are thought to contribute. Genetics. A family history of Alzheimer's increases the risk, especially if a close relative has been diagnosed with the disease. Specific genetic mutations, such as those involving the APOE gene, can increase susceptibility. Age. The most significant risk factor is aging. While Alzheimer's is not a normal part of aging, the likelihood of developing it increases with age, particularly after 65. Plaques and tangles. Alzheimer's is characterized by abnormal protein deposits in the brain, amyloid plaques. They are kind of like clumps of protein that accumulate between the nerve cells, and tau tangles. That's twisted protein strands inside neurons. These disrupt communication between neurons and lead to cell death. And then there's vascular health. Poor cardiovascular health, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes, may increase the risk of Alzheimer's by damaging blood vessels in the brain. Other factors: traumatic brain injury, lack of physical exercise, poor diet, and social isolation may also increase the risk. Now, there are stages of Alzheimer's disease, like mild or the early stage. Individuals may experience forgetfulness, difficulty with familiar tasks, and mild confusion. They may still be able to function independently with minimal assistance. And the next one is the moderate or middle stage. Memory and cognitive issues become more pronounced. Individuals may need help with daily tasks like dressing, bathing, and managing medications. They may also experience mood swings, agitation, and personality changes. And severe, the late stage. Individuals lose the ability to communicate coherently, and they may become completely dependent upon caregivers for basic needs. Physical functions like walking, swallowing, and controlling bladder or bowel movements may also be impaired. Now, how do you get the diagnosis? Well, there is no single test for Alzheimer's. Diagnosis typically involves medical history and symptoms. A doctor will assess the individual's history of memory problems and cognitive decline. There's cognitive testing. A series of tests may be conducted to assess memory and problem-solving skills and other cognitive functions. Then there's brain imaging. MRI or CT scans, CAT scans, may be used to rule out other conditions and observe changes in brain structure. And laboratory tests. Blood tests can help rule out other potential causes of cognitive decline. Now we look at the treatment. While there is no cure for Alzheimer's, treatments aim to manage symptoms, slow progression, and improve quality of life. There's medications like diazepam. These drugs can temporarily improve symptoms or slow their progression by increasing levels of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter important for memory. Glutamate regulators, like memetic, these help regulate the activity of glutamate, a neurotransmitter involved in learning and memory, and may help with moderate to severe Alzheimer's. Lifestyle change, exercise, a healthy diet, social engagement, and mental stimulation are encouraged to support brain health. Supportive care. As the disease progresses, individuals often require increasing levels of care, including help with daily activities and assistance in managing behavioral changes. Research. Currently, research is ongoing to better understand the disease and develop more effective treatments. Some promising areas of research include targeting beta amyloid plaques and tau tangles to reduce or prevent their buildup, gene therapy to address genetic factors that contribute to Alzheimer's, and immunotherapy to enhance the immune system's ability to clear plaques. As a conclusion, ChatGPT says, Alzheimer's disease is a complex and devastating disorder that affects millions of individuals worldwide. As the population ages, the incidence of Alzheimer's is expected to rise. Early diagnosis, care, and support are crucial in managing the disease and maintaining the quality of life for those affected. That's just not ChatGPT. That's across the board. That's what it's all about.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
Call today or visit us at DubinCenter.com.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
So our next question is, what is a caregiver? A caregiver is someone who provides assistance to another person, typically a family member, a friend, or a loved one who is unable to fully care for themselves due to age, illness, injury, disability, or other physical or mental conditions. Caregivers play a crucial role in the well-being of individuals who need extra help with daily activities, medical needs, and emotional support. There's types of caregivers too, like family caregiver, often a family member such as a spouse, child, or sibling who takes on the responsibility of caring for a loved one. This type of caregiver often provides unpaid care. A professional caregiver is usually employed by a healthcare agency or services. They are trained and compensated for their caregiving work. Professional caregivers can include home health aides, nurses, or therapists. Informal caregiver, typically a non-professional, often a friend or neighbor who provides help without formal training or compensation. And then you have the paid caregiver, and some caregivers are hired privately through agencies to provide care. They might include home health aides or nursing assistants. Now, the common responsibilities of a caregiver: personal care, assisting with bathing, dressing, grooming, and toileting, helping with mobility, such as getting in and out of bed or moving around the house, medication management, ensuring medications are taken on time and correctly, monitoring for side effects or any changes in the patient's health, household tasks like cleaning, cooking, and doing laundry, shopping for groceries or other necessities. Then there's emotional support, offering companionship to prevent loneliness and isolation, providing emotional comfort and reassurance during challenging times. Health monitoring, keeping track of health conditions and symptoms, accompanying the person to medical appointments and communicating with healthcare providers. Financial and legal help, managing finances, paying bills, or handling insurance matters, and sometimes helping with legal paperwork such as power of attorney or advance directives. And then there's communication, acting as a liaison between the patient and medical staff or family members, keeping records of care, symptoms, and changes in the patient's condition. Now, some of the qualities of a good caregiver is empathy, understanding and being sensitive to the needs of a person being cared for. Patience. Many caregiving tasks, especially with individuals who have cognitive impairment or physical limitations, require a high level of patience, and I will attest to that. Communication skills. Caregivers need to communicate effectively with both the person they are caring for and the healthcare team. Reliability. A caregiver must be dependable and consistent in providing care. Physical and emotional strength. Caregiving can be physically demanding and emotionally draining, so caregivers must be resilient. Amen. Challenges faced by caregivers. Physical and emotional stress. Caring for someone can be physically demanding, especially if the individual has mobility issues or significant health problems. It can also be emotionally exhausting, particularly for those caring with individuals with chronic or degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Time constraints. Caregivers often juggle caregiving responsibilities with their own work, family, and personal lives, leading to burnout. Financial strain. Many caregivers are unpaid, which can put a financial strain on them if caregiving requires them to reduce their work hours or quit their job. Even paid caregivers can face financial pressures due to the cost of professional care services. And then there's social isolation. Caregivers may experience social isolation as they spend less time with friends and family due to caregiving duties, and this could affect their mental health. Lack of training. Many informal caregivers are not trained in medical care, which can make certain tasks challenging, especially when it comes to administering medications or handling medical equipment. Support for caregivers. Respite care, temporary relief services where another caregiver, paid or volunteer, temporarily takes over caregiving duties, allowing the primary caregiver time for rest. Support groups, very important. Many caregivers find emotional support by connecting with others in similar situations. Support groups, both in person and online, provide a space to share experiences and coping strategies. Training programs. Some community organizations and healthcare providers offer training for caregivers to improve their skills, particularly when dealing with specific conditions like dementia or stroke recovery. Counseling and therapy. Mental health support for caregivers is vital, as caregiving can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Therapy or counseling can help manage these feelings. Caregiver services. Some agencies and healthcare providers offer services to assist caregivers, such as home health care, medical equipment, or caregiving coaching. Their conclusion? Being a caregiver is an important, often challenging role that involves physical, emotional, and practical support. While caregiving can be deeply rewarding, it can also be exhausting and demanding. Having access to resources, support, and respite care is essential for caregivers to maintain their own health and well-being while continuing to provide compassionate care to those who need it.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple, red.
When you tell people he has Alzheimer's, but he's in a clinical study, it's
not so hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's like, I hope we can just hang in there and maybe they'll find something,
Ask me again.
What season is it?
It's when all the leaves down, and I know it's there, but I can't get it. Yeah. And it just kills me.
I remember watching Dad interact with the kids and thinking, geez, in 5, 6 years, will he even know who they are? 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at Bright Focus.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
If you have listened to Gut Punch, Alzheimer's and Caregivers before, you might be wondering, why are we going back to the beginning, the basics? Well, there's 2 reasons. 1, it's always good to review and commit to memory some of the important facts about the disease and relearn some of the traits you need to be a caregiver. And number 2, I'm going to pause here. Be transparent. This is not what we were going to do in this episode, but as I sat roughing out the direction, I realized what we wanted to do, we needed to do some background before jumping right into it. The real topic was to talk about where I am in my personal circumstances with my wife's Alzheimer's diagnosis and treatment. I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn, to ask questions, seek answers, research the heck out of it, and network. By following everything I've learned from the Alzheimer's Association, the Dubin Center, doctors, and other caregivers, it has led me to relook at everything I've come across in the past 6 years. And that is the new beginning. Let's call it the new beginning, part 1. The only thing in life that is constant, well, that's change. Most people don't like change. I get it. I don't. It's uncomfortable, anti-routine. I'd rather have my old flip phone back. You know it. You understand it, but don't necessarily like it. Change. So join us for our next episode, Gut Punch, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, The New Beginning, Part 2, Episode 39. And we're going to share our story on how we use the things we've learned from this journey we've traveled so far and how it will impact the path we follow for the future, using everything that's been presented to us. It's eye-opening. For me, it's a new connection to the resources available, the new strength to battle, and possibly slow down the march to full-blown Alzheimer's disease. And for you, hope. There is help out there for you and your loved one. You don't have to battle this alone. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, please share this podcast with them as we grow it to reach more caregivers and provide them with hope and direction. We would appreciate that very much. And for more information, you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at https://alzsupport.org/about-us. The Dubin Center, very helpful. DubinCenter.com, easy one. And to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources/find your local chapter. And Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners website is healthspanswfl.com. For more information on the guides, it's probably easier just to Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. Great information there for you. And the website, our website, is gutpunched.com. Email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again for more helpful information and resources. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.